Welcome back to the Dave Gold Evolve podcast, where industry leaders in the spiritual dating and business world help you truly evolve your life. Now welcome to your host, Dave Gold.
Yo guys, quick break from the podcast to give a shout out to our two sponsors. First, go to Self Love Army on Facebook for a truly eye-opening experience. And then go to Real Life Vibes with a Z on Instagram or YouTube to awaken your subconscious mind. Now back to the episode. What's up guys? Welcome back to the Dave Gold Evolve podcast. We've got my man, Juan Pablo Otalora, or Juanpa, as he is also known, his alter ego. We're going to be talking about that. Thank you so much for coming on, Juanpa. You are a video specialist, and I've already learned a lot from you, and we'll be continuing to learn a lot from you. So it's a pleasure to have you on here. Where are you today in the world?
Thank you so much, Dave, for bringing me on to your amazing space. Honored and privileged to be here. I'm coming from city of Vancouver, Canada, in the west coast of America. It's a bit rainy today. It's been rainy last few days, but nevertheless, it's a beautiful place to be. Very spiritual area to be in. And again, happy to be here with you, brother.
North America, the Canucks up there in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking a lot today about video, about the reasons why a coach should get into video, the struggles that coaches and entrepreneurs have in using video. But first, I want to understand why you are the master of video all of a sudden. What happened? What's the story of your life that, you were doing something completely different and now you're the video mastery guy?
Great question. Thanks, man. So I've been making videos since 2012, totally self-taught, bought myself my first DSLR at a Best Buy in Toronto. I used to live out east for several years. And I was working for a digital marketing agency doing like SEO, like very technical stuff, like Google optimization on search engines for organic rankings and doing all that stuff. And I was doing sales for them. And then I decided to quit. I quit that job and I said, I'm going to start my own freelance company. So I started doing my own freelance SEO company and Google ads. And I had people overseas running all this stuff. And to be honest, I was just doing it because I learned it from the agency that I was working at. And then I realized, man, I really don't like this work. This is very technical. You're just looking at graphs and charts and spreadsheets. And I didn't enjoy it anymore. I thought it was really cool just to know that you can figure out a way for people to find you when they search for a particular keyword. At that time, I thought it was fascinating how a search engine worked. And then when I started my own agency, I was doing the same work just to pay the bills, doing SEO work, people on retainers, doing also Google ad campaigns, everything related to the search engine platform. And then I realized quickly that video was something that was going to be important. It was very important at the time, but I realized that platforms were allowing more for video. So I bought my first camera. I actually have it right here. I always keep it here as a reminder. It's just a very old Sony DSLR. And I started learning how to do that. So I started offering video services to my clients at a very cheap rate, just for me to learn how to do it. And then I eventually just slowly moved into only making videos. However, making videos at the time and the way that I had structured my company was not profitable. I was just making videos for like $500 here, $1,000 there. Again, it was just to learn it. I really was interested in learning how to operate a camera, but light and composition and sound and all this really cool stuff to be able to make videos. Then one of my favorite clients was out west, actually, here in Vancouver. And I was sick and tired of the winters in Toronto, very cold weather out there. They were very hot in the summer, just extreme weather conditions. And it was honestly one of the main reasons why I decided to ask him to hire me full time. I'm like, hey, bro, why don't you hire me full time? I'll help you grow your company. And he's like, are you serious? And I said, yep, I'll drop all my clients. I'll move out west and work with you. He took us a few months to figure that out, but then he made me an offer. He made me an offer to come out west and work with him. This was a construction company doing flood and fire damage restoration. It's a very small industry, but at the same time, very big. Not a lot of people know about what that is unless you have some kind of water damage in your home. And then you quickly realize that there's companies that remediate this damage in your property. So here in Vancouver, there's a ton of water damage because it was rainy, and all the properties here are made out of drywall and wood. So that is how I moved to the west side, doing a full-time job as what I label myself as success manager. I had the freedom to create my own title. I was working with the owner to grow the company. So I label myself a success manager. I had it on my business cards, and I was doing everything from sales, client relations, even a little bit of HR operations, but mainly my role was sales and marketing. So what I did is I made a company video. That was the first thing that I said to the owner. I was like, bro, it was a bro basis kind of thing there.
They don't use like a different term in Canada. They use the word bro.
We use the word bro a lot, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking back, my first camera was a DSLR Canon Rebel TI6, and it was kind of just like a whim purchase. Like, all right, just get this cheap DSLR camera, start playing around with it, seeing how it works. And the first few photos were like completely crap. And slowly I started to learn manual mode and started to take different scopes and play with the ISO and play with the aperture and things like this. But like, we all start with that classic DSLR. I love that. So
Yeah, I think everyone should get one just to play around with it, right?
Just to have a little bit of photography, videography, technical skills that are so important today. All right, so you make that video for your boss or bro, and what happens?
My boss, bro. And we use this video to reach out to every property manager and insurance agent in the lower mainland, which is about 7 cities here. That's kind of how it works in that industry. You service across the entire Metro Vancouver area, which goes from North Vancouver all the way to like Chilliwack, and then there's like 8 cities, seven cities in between. But like I said, it's a very small industry at the same time. There's not a lot of property managers, and that's who our target audience was. It's not homeowners. It's not people that are actually needing the service as a homeowner. I mean, you could target people directly from their homes, but really what they do, if they have any flooding or any kind of water damage, the first thing they do is actually call their insurance company or their property manager. So we're just funneling in so the call comes from the homeowner calls the property manager calls the restoration company. So
what happened when you made this video?
So we made this video, and what we did is we started messaging out every property manager in the lower mainland with the video. So the video was like a company video, like this is who we are, this is what we do. And we're just kind of just putting our hands up. And it's like, if you need premium service, let us know. So we started messaging everyone. And then that industry is a very strange industry because everyone's like very tight knit. Everyone knows each other. They've been around for a long time, like insurance agents know property managers for ages, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Same with restoration companies are solid in their base for years and years. And all of a sudden, there's this like new kid on the block doing videos and like hammering the phones because we were pretty aggressive. We were like, hey, what's going on? Like, did you watch our video? Check it out. Hey, what's going on? Did you watch our video? Check it out. Like, we did that over 1,000 times over the course of like 6 months. We literally called over 2,000 people, showing them the video. And then they're like, oh, great, thanks. I'll let you know. Because, you know, they're still calling their preferred vendors. They have their preferred thing. And then, so that was the beginning of the video journey. And then we also realized that we needed to get really close with them. So we started signing up for different sponsoring events, signing up for golfing, charity events, and just putting our face out there. So the video was one very important component.
And then how did that, and then how did that lead you in to, you know, leaving that job and, you know, starting to do video on your own with coaches, with entrepreneurs?
Amazing question. Thank you for guiding me to the point of the whole conversation. I start talking about I bring a lot of context to the story, right?
Bringing some nostalgia back. I feel it.
So we did that video. Then I wanted to make more videos, but the owner was like, no, man, just get back to work, because there was a lot of work. I had to take care of so many things, like hiring people, working in the field with the insurance agent, and going to like job sites and going to golf tournaments everywhere. And then I was spreading myself super thin, and I couldn't make any more videos. I literally didn't have the time. So fast forward 4.5 years later, I made one other video that took me like a year to make, because I was just doing it on the side and it would just take me so long. Until one day I realized, you know what? I think we have enough people in this company to self-sustain. Like, my presence is no longer required. We have enough managers, we have enough support staff that I think I'm gonna be able to step away. So I stepped away from the business, and I said, bro, I'm quitting. He was actually very upset, because he's like, man, we worked so hard to get here, and now you have your own assistant, your own office, and now you want to quit? Like, I don't get it. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm like overweight. I am super stressed, and I think I'm just burnt out from sprinting for like 5 years straight. I need a break. So I actually took a break. Right before quitting, I took a break. I went to Southeast Asia. I had one of my first like enlightenments, awakenings of like just being in that part of the world. It's just like a different dimension, different vibration altogether. So that's when I started discovering more and more about myself and about spirituality.
Where were you? You were in Thailand, Philippines, India?
Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore.
Beautiful.
So it was really, really cool. But Thailand and Bali in Malaysia, that was the two that really opened up my brain.
To what? What did it open you up to?
To just living an easier life. I thought that I had to work to have a successful life, or like work really, really hard to have a successful life. And then it's like, hey, you don't really have to work that hard. You can actually enjoy your life and be more present, be more healthy. And I think health was the trigger for me, because I was like about 30 pounds heavier than you see me here. And I wasn't happy, man. I was just stressed. My body, my tummy, everything. I just didn't know what life was all about. I was just like following into my dad's footsteps, which he works really, really hard, and he still does today. But I figured out, hey, there's another way to life. So
your dad put a lot of pressure on you to work really hard when you were growing up?
He didn't really put a lot of pressure. He would just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would just subconsciously be programmed by
What did he do?
Oh, so many businesses, man. He's a serial entrepreneur like you wouldn't believe. In fact, a little too much, because he would run like 5 or 6 different ones at the same time. And the thing that I didn't like about that is that I never really saw him that much. Like, he was there, but his train of thought was like, as long as I'm providing for the company, and I'm sure this happens to a lot of our dads, they're like, as long as I'm providing, that's my job. But he wasn't there for you emotionally, which is like the most important part. And I'm realizing that, and
we talked about this on our last podcast episode with Ash Borland, a personal branding expert. And, I brought up Tony Robbins, this interview he did with Tim Ferriss, where he said, like, whose love were you seeking the most as a child? And we were talking about our father's love and that pressure, to live up to that love and that expectation. And I can feel that now coming up out of you as well.
Big time, man. And yeah, fast forward a couple years, I've been doing a lot of that work with hypnotherapists, transformational coaches. So
Wow.
I'm very aware of all that now.
Yeah.
Creating no resistance about it, but just having an understanding of it and healing from it too. Kind of digressing everywhere all over the place, but I think I told you as well, in my hypnotherapy sessions, I've been able to process some of these emotions that are trapped in our bodies, right? Very interesting. So anyway, back to the video making thing. We blew up this company. Honestly, we went from like 2.5 million to 10 million bucks in 4.5 years with one video, thousands of phone calls and meetings, and then just showing up as the best restoration company in the world. Like we would literally have meetings and we're like, there's no company in the world that's better than us. That kind of mentality and culture of like, we're here to serve our homeowners, to bring them back their home to pre-loss condition. And like, we were like the go Ghostbusters, that type of team.
You watch Family Guy?
I used to, long time ago.
So the voice of Cleveland Brown, Mike Henry. So he said that we're operating in a world where one good video can lead to a massive social following. All right. And it was like what you were saying, that one video helped you to just blow up. All right. And for example, I was going to talk to you as well about a recent one. This guy Dogface208 on Instagram and TikTok. Okay, he made a TikTok video where he's on a skateboard drinking some cranberry juice and riding down the expressway and just completely blows up. Now he has 3.2 million followers on Instagram and 5.9 million followers on TikTok. So really, all it takes is that one video for you to realize the power of video.
Absolutely. And you asked me earlier, like, what's so important about video? And you just said it. You get your ideal audience. Like, you have to show it to your ideal audience, but they get to see you, right? They get to feel you. They get to know you, like you, trust you, so much faster than any other medium, right? If it's done right, mind you, right? Because there's also a fine line between a good video and then a bad video that can actually hurt your reputation, right? So
give me an example of that. So let's say someone jumps into the video sphere and they don't know what they're doing. Okay. What does a bad video look like? And what kind of influence can that have on a brand?
If you're not being authentic, if you're trying too hard, and then if you're not consistent, if you do both those things, that could really hurt your reputation with video. So putting up just one video where you're unauthentic because you're trying too hard and then you stop. Because see, let's say you do have a crappy video that's unauthentic, but then you don't stop and you keep trying. That's what people will see, is the effort of you trying.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the short answer is consistency. I would say if you're going to jump on video, continue making videos, even if they suck. Make those distinctions and self-analysis to see how you can make a better video the next time, and even address it with your audience and say, hey, you know what? My last video was pretty crappy. Let me try that again. And I think that's what people want to see, is that authenticity of you trying your hardest, like giving it all, right?
What other problems do you think that coaches have? So besides, posting videos consistently and being authentic in the videos and making those improvements gradually over a period of time, what problems do you see that coaches have when they try to get into the video realm?
So a few different problems. One of them I would say is that within the consistency of showing up on video, there's a lot of things that get in the way. And sometimes is just knowing what to say, right? We get caught up. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to say today. Like I already talked about this, right? The second one would be video tech. So in between those two, I think coaches get stuck. Like, I don't know what to say today. I don't know what my topics are. What should I say today? And then just doing like one video here and there at a time. And then maybe the tech can become an excuse. It's like, oh, maybe I need a camera, or oh, I'm not in the right setting, or do I really need a microphone, yada, yada. And then they get stuck, and then they kind of just put it aside, because it's having that lack of clarity on what to say, and some of the techniques that you may want to know about shooting a video with your cell phone. So it's like demystifying the tech and knowing what to say. I think those are the two main things that coaches get stuck with.
Mm-hmm. I can resonate with that because a lot of the time I procrastinate in making video, whereas in other areas of, outreach and marketing, I feel more comfortable to throw up questions, to reach out to people, to talk to them personally, to, take pictures, write copy. Okay. But when it comes to video, I feel like I step into my vulnerable area. All right. Where I'm really not sure whether I'm just going to be ranting. Okay. And I also feel like when I see other people on video, sometimes I start to get judgmental. And then I think, oh, what if people are going to think the same of me? So this podcast has been my first like major attempt at creating video and creating it consistently. And I tried to set the bar for entry really low. Okay, I talk about this a lot. When I started this podcast, I was just using the camera on my Dell computer in the bottom left-hand side of the screen, and it looked really shitty, but I didn't care. I just wanted to do something. I just wanted to interview people. I just wanted to put the content out there. I didn't care about how it looked as long as I would do it consistently. And then with your help and with other people's help, I've started to increase the value and the quality. So I hooked up my mirrorless camera that I usually use for photography, and I implemented an intro. Okay. And I've started to increase the value production in this podcast and get to that point where I feel more comfortable in front of the camera. But it's taken me some time. And I know that you said you're being selfish if you're not sharing your gifts. So I'd love for you to elaborate on why coaches like myself need to stop being so selfish and get in front of the camera.
That's an amazing question. And sort of to address what you just said, yeah, you're totally right. Sometimes we get caught up on, because it's a normal human condition to judge, right? And it's like, oh, if I'm judging, people are going to judge me back. And I would say like that is the one thing that holds us all back, because trust me, it happens to me, and I keep saying it. Like, and there was one thing that I heard from another video coach, and it's like, if you just go in front of the camera, just know that not everyone's gonna like you, because that would be crazy if everybody liked each other. That wouldn't make any sense. The world wouldn't even work if everyone liked each other, right? It's important that actually people don't like you. Because then you're gonna repel those that you don't like, and you're gonna attract the ones that you do like. So just having just that one piece of thought, that piece of information going into the video, that might actually help you a little bit when you're just on camera. Like, you know what? I don't care if somebody's not gonna like me. I'm here to serve the ones that do, and that is really my only focus, right? So yeah, I just wanted to make that comment. And then also I wanted to make a comment on the tech, right? Because then I can see it, right? Like I need to up level my production so I can feel more confident. And in a way that's true, because it does look really nice, your camera, and like it does give you a really nice feel, right? But sometimes we hide behind that tech. Like, do I really need this stuff or not? and you're hiding behind, wanting to up level your production, right?
Ash talked about this in the last podcast, that his first episode was his most viewed episode, and he filmed it with his phone. Okay. And I had also some episodes early on in my podcast that, they don't look great from, a beauty perspective, but the value, and it attracted a lot of people, okay, and brought a lot of new people into my network. And, it opened their eyes and ears to who I was and what I was doing. And now, just because the video looks better, okay, or there's an intro, an outro, and a sponsorship, doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to draw more viewership. But with that being said, what do you think does draw viewership to your videos that really catches their attention and keeps it?
Great question, man. So I'm kind of a little bit behind on the answering here, because I wanted to address the being selfish thing.
Take
too.
your time, one at a time.
In my brain, I'm kind of like very sequential, but hold on, let me write that one down too. So hook kind of goes in with hiding behind the tech, or to answer the question about being selfish, not sharing your gifts, right? Because in my opinion, we're here to serve humanity. We're here because I've been in the boat where I don't really have to work very much and I make enough money to sustain myself, but that is just not fulfilling. And that's another reason why I started doing what I'm doing, because I wanted to find fulfillment. So if you're not sharing your gifts with the world, you really are being selfish, because people need to hear what you have to say. You're just a few steps behind somebody else, and that somebody else may need to hear what you have to say to change their lives. And you may not know it, right? You may work with them directly, you may not, but your content is honestly saving lives. People are seeing your stuff that you may not know. Like sometimes I get these random messages from people that have been seeing my stuff for over a year, and I'm like, man, I have no idea who you are. Great to meet you. How are you doing? Tell me more about yourself. And then they sort of disappear because
hola, amigo. Let's come to the fucking party. Welcome. Bienvenidos.
And then they're like, then they're gone again, because you don't know what kind of life they're living, what kind of traumas and insecurities, fears and doubts they've lived in their life. You can't judge nobody, man. So your stuff that's going out there, sure, it may not be liked and it's going to be judged, and everybody's watching it through their own lenses and making
literally
their own judgments on it. And I find myself doing the same, but now I'm catching myself doing that and then going through like, you know what? Sure, that was a judgment, but I am going to accept my darkness. I'm going to accept the fact that I judged. And now I'm going to see how, and then after that acceptance comes sin, like you've accepted the fact that you were judging because it's a normal human condition. Then it's like, then I ask myself, like, how can I see this from a better light? How can I see this from a better point of view? How can I accept this person into my world? So you just, because we're judging machines and that's the way it is. We're still very primitive creatures, believe it or not. We're still in that fight or flight. Like, I'm still scared of taking action because it might hurt me in the back of our brains, right? So that's what judgment is really what's going on. It's like, I don't want to be this, and then we leave it at that. But if I don't want to be this and make the distinction that, oh, I don't want to be this, okay, I'm okay with that. And why? So just ask yourself why, and then let the subconscious give you the answer maybe later on. It might not happen right there and then, but just keeping that fluidity in your approach to life kind of, makes things a lot easier.
It creates a higher state of awareness. And when you can get into that awareness, okay, eyes open, heart open, all right, lowering starting to drop the ego and get into a place of surrender to your flaws, surrender to your inability to be present at all times, your inability to not judge, okay? And instead of feeling remorse or guilt over that, how about you show some love to that? And that was something that stood out to me. And I guess you really caught on to it in India, not in India, in Southeast Asia, in Singapore and in Indonesia and all those other places where you were at, where you were learning more spiritual concepts that, you know, you needed to get into a more loving state, into a more giving state, into a state of servitude, where you would start to, you know, provide massive value, and the masses would just come and they would appreciate it and they would be grateful for it. And you would be grateful for it. And it would create this wave of momentum, which has gotten to the place where you're at right now. And I see it. I see it every week. You know, you're growing, you're evolving as well. And that's why I've brought you into my network.
I love it. Dave Goldstein. Love the intro. So that kind of ties into like that self-love thing, right? Because yes, you have to come from a place of service, but you have to come from a place of service of yourself first, right? Because if you haven't taken care of your shit first, you can't really service anyone. So you have to do that self-love first. And I think that's what the Southeast Asia trip taught me, was like the self-love. Because you see these people there, they're chilling, they're hanging out, they're relaxed, because they're relaxed with themselves, right? They're accepting of themselves, right? Empty your cup. And then right, that whole empty your cup thing. Empty your cup so you can receive more, so you can give more. Empty your cup, receive so you can give. Yeah, that kind of, I think hopefully that kind of answered the question.
I mean, I just look at it as just like surrender, acceptance, surrender, acceptance. And it's just like this process keeps repeating itself. And if you really trust it, it will provide you all the answers that you're seeking. A lot of them are already inside. A lot of times we need permission to be there. Okay. We seek that permission externally. And don't get me wrong, having a mentor, a guide, a coach, being a part of a course or program may be what you need. It may be great. I've signed up for some amazing courses. Okay. I've worked with some amazing mentors this year. All right. I'm going to be working with you as well, you know, because I know that having that accountability, that having that structure and that balance can really take me to another level. But ultimately, it is within. It is within. And I think that you probably saw that at a certain point, okay? Because you've told me you've invested a lot of money as well into programs and teachers and mentors. But ultimately, all the answers came from inside of you.
Absolutely. And I guess that kind of brings my brain to your most recent question in this podcast about the hook, right? Like trying to hook somebody in the video. I would say
drop the hook.
is what we just talked about, is like that connection with oneself is the hook. Because people will see it in seconds, man. Like people are waking up so fast that they can see through the bullshit, right? They can see through anything. They can see your intentions. They can see what you're trying to do. They can see your effort. So when you see that connection with the person, you see the person's connected to themselves. I think that is a very big part of the hook, right? Like, yes, you have to have like an intro, have maybe like look directly at the lens, maybe have I like to use a hat or things like that when you're recording a video for a particular purpose, having intention.
Put on my sun shirt today for the interview, you know?
Yeah, doing something clever, looking good, right? Like you still have to have your spirits up. But you can do a video at any time and the video to be catchy or have a nice intro hook if you are connected with yourself. If you have a good intention, you're grounded and you're looking at the lens, then and then, you know, being aware of your tonality. What are you going to say? It's also very important. So there's a lot of elements to having a proper hook, but I would say the most important of them all would be to connect with yourself and then project that to the lens. You're projecting your energy from like your chest almost. Like when you're looking at the lens, you're talking, but you're projecting your energy from your heart, from your solar plexus and your heart. You're kind of like Care Bear style. You're projecting out your power. And I think that's what people will be more attracted to more than anything else.
I love it. Projecting from your heart. Okay. I think that body language and the way in which we use our words, I just kind of tripped up on it right as I'm saying it. Okay. But the tone, the speed, the power behind your words is going to really determine whether someone is hooked on your content or not. They're also going to be hooked on your content if you've got a good story. And as Gary Vee said, no matter what you do, your job is to tell your story. So what kind of story do you want to tell your audience, Juanpa? And why is, story such an important aspect of the way in which we create our videos?
Amazing. And I was talking about this with one of my students yesterday. He is in India and he's a fitness instructor, and he works with TRX and stuff like that. He's in our program and he talks about his program all the time. And I see it on his stories and his posts. And so part of the program is like the whole alter ego and grounding on topics. But then now we're getting into this portion of the program, which is tying everything to a story, right? You can tie anything to a story. Like I could be like this pen and be like, I remember when I was 5 years old, I used to use these blue pens, but this brings me up to this idea of journaling, right? So then you're tying it. You're tying the whole. You can just tie anything to any story, right? I don't know, this battery. I remember when I was at this video shoot one time, and we were shooting this music video for my friend, and I was up on a tree, and we were trying to get this super sweet shot, and I only had like 2% left on the battery, and we had to get that last shot of the music video. And my battery ran out like just before, but thankfully I had another one in my pocket. So I just like flipped it like really quick and I was able to get the shot. But that just reminds me the importance of being prepared when you're going to be either in a shoot or maybe just showing up in life, like knowing that you can always have a backup battery to make sure that you deliver your message on time. And I don't know, I'm just kind of making it up right now, but you see
but
how
I felt it. I felt it, like the intrigue, the detail, the mystery. What happened? Did you get this? Did you get the shot? and I have to say, something just clicked in my mind. Something that was so powerful about some of the bloggers and vloggers, okay, is that they were really able to tell a story in their vlog, and it made you want to know what happens with this relationship, what happens in your trip when you go to Venezuela or to some fucking crazy place. So it's always interesting, the things that happen in my mind when I have someone on this podcast. And right now, just talking to you about video, okay, about the struggles, the stories, and the dialogues and the narratives that we create, I already feel inspired to go and shoot something and to film something.
That's amazing. I love it. And this came from this knowledge. I gained this knowledge from a book called I always mix up the name, but it's like brand story selling, or the tell your story brand. I forget the name of the book exactly, but it basically talks about their framework, which is positioning yourself as the guide, not the hero, and that there's always something at stake. So that's kind of like how I just told you the story with the battery and the music video. Well, what was at stake? Well, the whole video was at stake, right? So you want to position the story as, okay, what's at stake? Who's the guide? Who's the hero? And how do they overcome that together? Kind of like the the Luke Skywalker learning from Yoda, and then Yoda gave him the guidance to find the force within to go and fight the enemy, right? And then what's the outcome? Well, the outcome is either they either won or they prevented catastrophe, right? Or it's going to be a sequel, right? So then the story continues. But what is the stake right now? I think it would be the one thing that you could, if you just know that you can wrap anything into a story and the story needs to have a dip, what is that dip? What is at stake? What's going to happen next? And a marker, I don't know, anything that's on my desk right now, I can like tie a story to it. Because I remember when I was 5 years old and I was writing with my red marker, but then it ran out of ink. Just saying that right now, you're like, well, then what the hell happened after, right? Like you can literally say anything that will make the person like kind of draw in and be like, okay, so what next?
Not only that, it triggers things from your childhood and from your past that evoke certain emotion that makes you want to hear more. It makes you want to learn more. It makes you want to dive deeper.
Yeah, that's how we've always learned. We have the Moses from the first Testament, and then Jesus in the second, and then Muhammad in the Quran 500 years later. The only way that we get to learn in society is through stories. You see all these stories, they're just stories. Same with the ancient scriptures from the Far East, like the Hindu religions. The Gita, that's what I'm trying to look. The Gita, right? The Bhagavad Gita. You ever read that? It's a story about Krishna and Arjuna, and they're just having a conversation, telling stories. And that's how they taught which is basically what all scriptures are saying, like we're all one with the same, and we all have to love one another. It's all the same story, just from different times in humanity, right? But that's the way that we learn the best, is through storytelling.
Yeah. I was going to say the Joseph Campbell example of like the hero's journey, and how all the movies and the books, they're all the same. They're all based off of this hero's journey principle. Okay, where, they go through trials and tribulations, and they have to overcome their demons and their limiting beliefs and whatever kind of fear or anxiety that they were going through at the time to get to that pinnacle where they are the champion. They are the good guy. They overcome, Darth Vader, okay, or Saruman, or whatever movie, all right, Game of Thrones, like the White Walkers, and that hero's journey is just consistent in any type of, really engaging film or book in the past, number of decades. Now, I want that to tie us into something that you specialize in, the avatar method, the alter ego effect. What is it, and how do you find your alter ego?
Love this. Amazing. So with the alter ego effect, or the avatar method, there are different names. You can name it whatever you want. But I discovered recently that it's a whole field in psychology. And there's been research done on it, on how to have an identity and how you can shift your identity on command. And I blended within my program with spirituality, right? I call it stream of consciousness. Similar to what's going on right now, we're present, we're grounded, we're listening to each other, and we're just allowing for the words to be there. And a lot of times when we're making videos, we can get caught up on not knowing what to say and how to say it. That's because you're actually using your thinking brain. You're actually using your brain to process information. But in fact, you're much more than your brain. You are an entire being, and you have consciousness stored in the cells in your body. And deep in your subconscious mind, you already have this information stored within you. So how I blend that stream of consciousness idea with the avatar method of the alter ego is that, hey, you are already a hero. you are already an expert in your field, especially working with experts in their field, like coaches or entrepreneurs, business owners. They have a level of expertise, but it's just something that's preventing them, they're holding them back from acting full out. And usually what that is all of these layers around your environment, how you were brought up, what's going on in the current circumstances, right? But ultimately, we are all a bunch of 5, 6 year olds running around, right? We're just housed in this adult body, but we have to adapt to the conditions of our economy and our environment, and then also what's going on in our inside our brains. We have all of these insecurities, fears, and doubts because that's just part of growing up as a human. We are told not to do this, or we're told to, big boys don't cry, or money doesn't grow on trees. All of these limiting self-beliefs. But what if, just for a moment, you could suspend your current reality, which is the ordinary world? It's in the book, The Alter Ego Effect, they call it as the ordinary world, which the ordinary world is just following the rules and following whatever all of these layers are surrounding your core self, limiting you from actually taking action. So the alter ego is basically putting yourself aside just for a moment and using some kind of, you can use a prop or just literally just by using your own imagination, step into a greater version of yourself. Step into what could be possible if I didn't have all of these insecurities, fears, and doubts. And then using the alter ego method to activate the heroic version of yourself. So you can use a prop, or like I said, you can just use your imagination. But what the book walks you through, and what I've been doing with my students, is to identify character traits from maybe superheroes from your childhood, whether they're cartoons even, or historical figures, or even somebody in your family.
Who was yours?
For me, so I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
And what I want to sort of emphasize in this whole alter ego thing is that this is just to open up the idea, right? I'm still playing with mine, and I think it's pretty solid now. But what I started doing is I actually, because the book tells you, hey, why don't you just, for you to play with the idea, channel one superhero. What if you were gonna give a speech to 1,000 people, mentors, peers, and potential clients, and you're in a big auditorium, and you're going to give them a quick 5-10 minute talk. But for that quick 5-10 minute talk, you want to channel one superhero from your childhood. So I decided that I wanted to channel a combination between Bruce Wayne and Batman, the Batman, right? Which is basically two in the same. So I started playing with the idea of how I would show up in front of the camera if I was Bruce Wayne, and I would give my speech as Bruce Wayne, or if I was Batman, right? So that's how it opened up the idea of just having fun, right? Just have fun with this. If you were 5 years old for a moment, but you're your adult self and you're trying to give a speech to your ideal clients, how would you act, right? Just to open up the idea. Mine, it evolved into dabbling more into, right now, my grandpa, my grandfather. He died 15 years ago, but he still lives in here. And he is such a cool character. He is charming, he's loving, he's accepting, he's tolerant, and he's also very driven and entertaining. And he wore hats a lot. So then that's how I got the whole hat thing. I want to channel my inner grandpa. What would my inner grandpa do or say on camera, right? And then my favorite superhero of all time is Superman. Superman and Clark Kent. I actually resonate with Clark Kent a lot. Very, very proper guy. He's always very polite. He always does the right thing. He doesn't lie, right? And then same with Superman. Superman, doesn't lie. He doesn't lie, and he always does the right thing. So what if I combine Superman and my grandpa into Super Juanpa? And that's how that kind of came to be. And I'm still working through it, right? I still have to sort of adapt, because I want to adapt other things aside from those two characters. And in fact, this is coming down the pipeline, but we're gonna be, if you're familiar with Pokemon, are you familiar with Pokemon at all? At all?
I had all the Pokemon cards growing up. I'm gonna have to edit that part out of the podcast.
So imagine if you had your own Pokemon card,
Mhm.
but of yourself. Like, what are your superpowers?
Oh, Charizard for sure.
And like lay them out, and like, and then and be honest with yourself. Like, no, like, okay, I know I'm in my health, wealth, relationships bar. Like, I know my health is at a 50-60%, but I want to be at an 80 or 90.
Mhm.
My wealth, it's like at a 40 or 50, but I want to be at like 80 or 90. And then your relationships, where am I at? And like, be really honest with yourself as to where you're at and where you want to be, but using this as a game, like you're gamifying your life, right? And this is how it ties into quantum physics, because quantum physics says that you are literally creating your reality with your thoughts. So what if your thoughts were only ones where are positive and inspiring and almost like not, I don't want to say delusional, but like you want it to be in an extraordinary world. Like, what would your extraordinary world look like if you had to step in there? What kind of words would you use? What kind of body language would you use? How would you just show up in the world uh, if you had to choose, right? Which we do, but we're now using a game for us to almost like trick ourselves into being a better version of ourselves.
Yeah, well, I love the what if and then put a positive spin on it, because I see a lot of people go, what if it goes wrong? What if I get rejected? What if I go broke? What if I lose my job? And what you just did was put the ultimate positive spin. Okay. What if you turn into the Superman of your life? What if, okay, you start a business and change people for the better and do something that you're passionate about and find your purpose and give back, get into that, love state? What if? And so I think it's something that is missing. It's like this year as well, there's been like an opening of consciousness amongst a lot of people because they have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. They have to sit inside, they have to be with themselves. And to many people, I challenged them many times this year with posts, conversations, what if you started that business or quit your job or moved on from that relationship and broke free from the chains that society is holding you down and created freedom, created prosperity, created abundance, not only in your wallet, but especially in your mind. Juanpa, I have a feeling that maybe we'll do another one of these in the future. Who knows? But I want to know right now the final question that I ask most of the guests. How do you want to evolve your business and your relationships over the next 12 months?
Wow, great question. How do I want to evolve my life and my business in the next 12 months? Showing up as the greatest version of myself every single day.
What does that mean to you?
That means continuing getting uncomfortable and being uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable with, wait, mix it up. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because that's what it really takes at the end of the day, is doing that self-love, self-giving, but then know that you're gonna have to step into the unknown every day. but just trust that the universe is going to be there for you. The words are going to be there for you. You're going to channel the greatest version of yourself every time you're in a moment of challenge. And a moment of challenge can be, being in an interview for podcast, being in a Zoom call and a training call with one of your students, doing a sales and marketing video. There's a lot of these moments of challenge, moments of impact in your daily life, but just knowing and trusting that in any of these moments of impact, your inner greater version of yourself is there, which is what I find, what I honestly feel is that it's that inner God inside of all of us that's trying to express itself. And you're just going to you're going to give it the space to channel the information that needs to be said. Whatever needs to be said will be said, and you trust it that it's going to be the right thing to say and the right thing to do.
And if that took form, okay, where would your life be in 12 months? Where would your business be? Will you still be in Vancouver, Canada, wearing a cool, funky hat?
Probably. Yeah. I really love this city. I think I told you, in previous conversations, we have a similar journey with having met our girl online during these pandemic times. So I met a coach. She's a coach as well, and so we write it on our journals, and she's moving here. This is the place to be here. Vancouver is probably one of the best cities on the planet. And there's a city called North Vancouver, which is very exclusive. So it's lots of mountains. I didn't know
about that. Did Vice News make a North Vancouver documentary yet?
The North Shore. It's called the North Shore, and basically you live on a mountain by the oceans in the most purest water in the world. So you have best of everything there. The most pure oxygen, air and water in the world, with mountains and ocean and a beach. So it's kind of like pretty much perfect. So that's the goal. It's to go from Vancouver to North Vancouver.
Thank you. Well, that answers my question. So your goal is to, be with this beautiful coach, live in North Vancouver, purify yourself on a daily basis, and live this, video mastery dream.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. And helping as many people as we can through our workshops and through our online work. And at that point, I'll probably be flying out to see you and do a movie and documentary on you. Do a very high production.
You're going to come out to Portugal next year, hopefully, and help Foad and myself with a video on the retreat that we're going to give. Okay. It's going to be some, self-love, personal branding, medicinal medicine. It's a transformational retreat that we're going to throw sometime next year, maybe the year after. I'm not really sure the exact date, but that would be awesome if all three of us could hook up. And you want to give a short little pitch on your, you describe it, the mastery course that you're currently offering.
Amazing. So Super You Video Mastery Season 2, we are doing pre-enrollment for January 2021. Right now, we're still in the midst of Super You Video Mastery Season 1, where we take you through showing up confidently on camera and consistently. So we talk about the alter ego method and how you can develop your own alter ego. And then from there, we go into demystifying all the camera tech. And then from there, we help you edit and promote your videos. So it's an end-to-end solution on showing up on camera authentically and consistently, editing your videos and promoting your videos so you can make a bigger impact in the world.
Group calls, one-on-one, Facebook group, the whole jazz.
6-week course, 6 one-on-ones, or 6 group calls, 6 one-on-ones, and 1 year of a private Facebook group where you can practice your videos and get direct feedback from me.
Feedback, support, accountability. I love it. I love what you stand for. I love your vibe. I love how you're, you know, melding self-love and service and gratitude with video and authenticity and finding your, you know, alter ego and just embracing it and putting it out to the world. You know, it's really cool that we've connected again here on this podcast. You guys know the deal. The only price of the podcast is to like, comment, and share it with a friend if you enjoyed this episode. And that's going to do it. So, Juan Pablo, gracias, amigo. See you guys in the next episode. Okay.
Cheers, bro.